Again, good afternoon. I'm Matt Sutphin. I'm the interim fire chief. Before I turn it over and we get the program going, I just want to thank everybody for coming today. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to help us celebrate this ribbon cutting for the addition at Station 2. Just want to thank our community, and our town staff, and our council for the continued support. This project ended up being a big undertaking. When I say that, I mean maintaining flexibility, which is a term we use because most departments, when they're adding on or doing stuff like this, they move the guys out, bring them back in after it's done. But working with the project manager and stuff, we made it work. And we're able to keep the guys here, move them around, coordinate schedules. So I appreciate everybody's time and helping us do that. A little bit of housekeeping. If you need to go to the restroom, right through the door right there. And secondly, if you stay after, we'll be glad to take you over a tour of the whole station plus the new addition. With that, I'll turn it over to our town mayor, Jody McLeod.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you, everybody, for being here this afternoon. When Matt was saying his few words, I was sitting there thinking, there really is nothing worse than living in a house that you're remodeling, right? So it's really kind of cool to have your home remodeled, create that gorgeous open floor plan, like all of that. But you don't have to live through it. But when you're in a situation like this, they're remodeling your house and you're living through it, you know, and they're coming in early and they're making adjustments for the daily schedule, and it's crazy. But we have survived, and we're very thankful for what everybody has done to make this come to reality. And to be a huge part of what Clayton is. You know, the largest portion of Clayton's tax dollar goes to public safety. And I say that every opportunity that I get to say that, because that's driving the message home that this town council and this mayor, we know and value the importance of public safety and what it means to the average citizen and what it means to a multi-billion-dollar investment and everywhere in between. We want to emphasize that this fire station is really not just a building, you know, but it really is a symbol of the community of the town of Clayton. And I notice that when I drive to other towns and I come through other cities, towns, and villages, and I look around and you ride by their fire department, and it tells a story, tells you about the type of people that live there, tells you about that sense of community that's there. And for me, I think the same story is true in the town of Clayton, North Carolina. And when you ride by any firehouse in the town of Clayton, North Carolina, there's a story to tell. And if it's new, it meant it came from someplace that was old. And then if you ride by what was extremely old, close to ancient, and you go, no wonder they needed a brand new fire station like what Clayton has got. It makes all the difference in the world. It really showcases who we are in Clayton, North Carolina. And I'm very appreciative, as well as my town council, that I'm joined here today with Councilman Michael Sims, Council Member Andrea Archer, and Councilman Porter Casey. Thank you three for being here today. And there's only one House of Representative in North Carolina that represents us, and you all know her as Donna White. And I did want to give her 2 minutes to come up here and say something, because one, she has been so good to Clayton, North Carolina, and not only because she is from here and she is a Claytonian, but because she loves the people in this community and she appreciates the effort of all of our first responders in this region. So I can give you the floor for 2 minutes. Thank y'all. But actually, I mean, you know, you can really talk as long as you want to. But thank you for being here.
Thank you. I told him I wasn't going to speak because my name wasn't on the program. That meant I didn't have a job. Thank you all for what you're doing here in this fire station with the old structure and the new structure. For all of those that had a participation in that, I really appreciate you. My job in the General Assembly is to try to bring resources to the county, and I've been very blessed to be able to do that for the last 6.5 years. We are working on something called a budget right now. We won't talk about that because it would take much longer than 2 minutes, but we're getting there, and I'm more encouraged today than I was yesterday. So I do want to just give a shout out to the work that some of us have been doing to try to get firefighters an opportunity and other first responders an opportunity to be treated for PTSD. I've run that bill now for several years. It gets 100% passage in the House and it dies when it gets to the Senate. But a lot of things die when they get to the Senate. We won't talk about that today. So we're going to still work on that. We hope that none of you ever have PTSD, but if you do, then you need to have that service paid for until you get better so you can come back to work. The other thing that I've worked on is to try to get you an opportunity to retire at 25. We know that once you get in the business for 25 years, you may not be at the position to keep doing the things the way that you have done before. So we're still working on that bill. So if anybody has any opposition to those two bills, let me know, because I'm running them every year and they pass out of the House every year and we're going to get it done. Again, thank you. Thank you for the town council, for our wonderful mayor, and we just appreciate and our interim town manager, and I think I saw our town manager too. Hey, so thank you all for what you do to help the fire department and to just continue the good services that go on in Johnson County and specifically Clayton. It's my honor to serve you, and if there's anything I can do for any of you, it's 919-889-1239. Call me anytime.
That's a true public servant that will announce her phone number, contact information in public. Mine is on the Town of Clayton website. I failed to mention our outstanding Mayor Pro Tem, Jason Thompson, is joining us today too. Thank you for your leadership and for being here today. Up next is going to be a project background, imagine that, with our Deputy Manager, Lee Barbie. Our quick speaking, he said it's only 6 pages long, so I think we can suffer through that. Lee, I give you the floor.
Well, I got 3 minutes of yours and Chief Supplement's, so that still gives me 10 minutes.
Wow.
Good evening. My name's Lee Barbie, retired fire chief and now deputy manager. It's exciting for me to see this project come to completion. If I can review some of the history and background, everybody laughs when I do this, but I think it's important for this station. So in the 1990s, there was a discussion with the fire department in town to build a new fire station. And it ended up being on this property. There's a 5-acre tract here that was called a Superfund site with the state. North Carolina Railroad owned it, and some connections was made with North Carolina Railroad and Town of Clayton and the state. This site was cleaned up. Fran come through and knocked all the wonderful trees down. A lot of us remember Fran, but after that, we began working on building Fire Station 2. Some of it, there's 2 or 3 in here we remembered as Jiffy Lube, Taj Mahal, but we've come a long way. It's been, I think this is the 3rd addition to this facility. Also on this property is the backup 911 center that the town worked with the county to get. There was a dire need for that in the county. So the backup center at the back, 911 uses that for training, but also during emergencies they staff it. I'm not sure how they doing it now since they moved into their new facility, but it's been a very good support for the county over the years. We also did the elevated water tank, but most recently in 21, we went through a grant application as we began moving toward the full-time staffing. The fire stations are the guys' homes. And when both of these stations were built, Station 1 and Station 2, sprinklers were not required. There was an option in Station 1, but at the time, it was chosen not to put the sprinklers in. So Chief Shaw worked with a grant writer that we had. I think the first year we did not receive it. We resubmitted the next year. We were awarded a grant through the Fire Administration for sprinklers in both facilities. Along about that same time, engineering department was talking about additional water storage. So the ground water storage tank in the back, that process came into play. The sewer system, the force main was coming through, or had come through. This station was on a septic tank, 911 center was on a septic tank. So a lot of things aligned where we could make this project fit multiple departments. So from 2021 until today, that's the process that we've seen take place. There was a lot of collaboration with different departments, contractors, and we appreciate that to make this addition and changes to the property a success. Thank you.
Where's Tim? Hey, Tim. I'm Shannon Poole. I am the engineering technician with the town of Clayton, and I help oversee this project along with my twin back there, Tim Robbins. He was the project manager, and I would just like to mimic the appreciation to town staff and council, mayor, the firefighters for this project, but I think I'd also like to highlight some of the folks behind the scene. We've got an amazing design team that helped bring this project to close. That was HH Architecture, and we also worked very closely with the Timmons Group. They were responsible for the site design, both here at Station 2 and at 1. And really from design, HH Architecture and Timmons were there through bidding the project and also from contract administration. So they were an asset to us as we stumbled through a lot of these things. They never batted an eye, which was great to have by our side. And then for bidding, we got Brawley come on board to build out this project, and they were just as great to work with. So just wanted to thank you guys for being on board with this project, the town of Clayton. Janessa, would you like to come up and say a couple of things? This is Janessa Van Deen.
Hi, everybody. Mayor McLeod, council members, town manager, distinguished guests, and Clayton. At HH Architecture, our mission is centered on commitment to creating a lasting and meaningful impact on our community. Working with municipalities to better serve their employees and citizens is what we do. What an honor it has been for us to work with the town of Clayton in this vibrant, growing area. The Clayton Fire Department has been a staple in our community since its beginnings as an all-volunteer force in 1883. The department apparatus and fire stations have come a long way since then, keeping up to date with the newest technology, training, and education. With a mission to protect the lives and property of more than 50,000 residents it serves. We've really enjoyed the opportunity to be a part of the recent upgrades to Fire Station 1 and 2 with the collective addition of the sprinkler systems, a fitness room, and needed storage spaces that will bring increased safety, greater functionality, and a better well-being for the Clayton firefighters and their homes away from home. I'd also like to recognize our consultants on this project who worked diligently to bring this shared vision to life. So Intech Engineering for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, Lynch Mikens for structural engineering, and the Timmons Group for civil engineering. And of course, Brawley, the general contractor for the construction of these projects. We're confident these needed upgrades will serve you well for years to come. Thank you.
I think I'm next, but if y'all don't mind, I'm going to speak a little bit anyway. As has been said, thank you all for coming. House of Representatives, Donna, it's just great for you to take time out of your busy schedule to be here. Mayor, council members, manager, it's just great to see this amount of people being able to attend this type of event. And why is that? Well, first of all, my name is Randy Grubb. As you can tell by our little logo over here, I'm with Brawley Company. We're headquartered out of Wilmington, North Carolina, but we also have an office here in Raleigh. In those offices, we do a lot of commercial work. In our Raleigh office, we do a significant amount of fire station work. Most of them brand new structures based on the expansion of the municipalities, but we were fortunate enough here to do this renovation job of the 2 fire stations 1 and 2. The concept of our company is building for tomorrow today. And in this case, we were able to contribute highly by installing in this fire station and in Fire Station 1 the sprinkler system that you've already heard about. If you were to look up above me here across the ceiling, you'll see this black pipe and some red fittings on the end. Well, that's part of the fire protection system that we installed in Fire Station number 2. It's hard to imagine what kind of work that involves until you go inside the building and realize that there's acoustical ceiling tile, drywall ceilings, all inside these structures. And somehow, some way, between our design team with HH Architecture and her consultants, like Janessa just said, along with our subcontractor community, in coordination with Matt and his team, in order to get into the active facilities, to install all this maze of piping that's above the ceilings in order to provide these sprinkler heads that you see all sitting now nice and clean, shining down. You don't realize how important that is until you're living, sleeping, eating inside these facilities. Now our firefighters are able to relax when they're in the rooms and in the facilities using them, knowing that if for some reason there should be some type of an emergency event in their own building, they're going to be alarmed. They're going to know about it. And more importantly, they're going to be able to react. We refer to this as a landmark project. Why would that be considered a landmark project? We don't quite follow the philosophy or the comments. Well, you know, it's a normal expectation for us as citizens to expect our first responders to always be there for us in times of emergency. But how many times do we have the opportunity to do something for our first responders, especially our firefighters, and to help them live and work safely? Well, in our opinion, and I think in conjunction with everyone who was involved with this is exactly that. It is a landmark project. Our collective team from Tim and Shannon that we worked with from the town, to Janessa and her team at HH Architecture, and of course our outstanding subcontractors team, we were able to not only install the fire protection system at both fire stations successfully, but there was minimal to almost zero impacts to maintaining the functionality of those fire stations while we were doing the work. Was it easy? Not at all. But the collaboration and communication between all parties involved, especially with Matt and the occupants, the firefighters actually in the spaces, because they didn't leave. They just sort of moved around the corner or down a bedroom or two to allow us to go in and tear out the ceilings, to put piping above those ceilings and then to put the ceiling back in. That's something that's very difficult to do. And again, you don't really realize the magnitude of that just walking around and looking at this facility as well as over in Fire Station 1. This allows now our firefighters, as I said, to be protected 365, 24/7, something that's very important to all of us. In addition to the new fire protection systems that were installed over here, especially in Fire Station number 2, we also did several other additions. 2 that are behind me that Janessa just mentioned, the storage equipment room off to my right, your left, that allowed lockers that were all sitting out here in the apparatus bay area now to be moved out of the way so that the bay can function for its intended purpose. You'll be able to see this as you tour. I please encourage you to do so just to see exactly what happened in that room and what's there now, because that is all about life inside that room and what hangs in those lockers. And then off to my left, your right, is the fitness center. A fitness center is like, do you really need one of those? Aren't most firefighters already fit? Well, they are, but they also have to maintain that fitness. And that's the way we're able to do that in supporting the firefighters here in Fire Station number 2, is by building them a fitness center, and then, of course, the town was able to furnish that with new equipment that you'll see when you go in there and observe what has happened in there. Outside of the building, what happened out there? If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't even know it. Well, the entire fencing that's around the entire property is brand new. Black PVC fence, very stylish, very durable at the same time. Some of it covered in black fabric to sort of cut off a sight line from the road as people are looking at the facility. There was also storm piping systems put in, a new entrance here to the back of the fire station that Tim and I were talking about earlier, that before that was done, over time, the concrete driveway had settled and a fire truck couldn't come in this way. They had to pull around front, as you see now, and back in. Well, now by virtue of the fence and an electric gate that's been added, now the fire team can drive around the facility, come in the back, and then drive straight through into the apparatus bay. Pretty functional in that regard. Pretty easily accomplished with regards to now that access point. So some things you see, some things you don't. But again, that's all part of this project that we were proud to bring to the town of Clayton, to the citizens of Clayton, to the team that we worked with, as well as to the firefighters who eat, live, sleep, and breathe in these facilities that we were able to be a part of. So again, on behalf of our construction team, to include last but not least my Brawley team members, one who's not here, Steve Oreo, is our superintendent that pretty much took over this job initially, then he left for a while, and then he came back as we got to deal with some issues on the job site. He unfortunately had an issue with a family member. He couldn't make it today. And then Catherine Hollander, our office manager, as I referred to her, my acting project manager, to deliver this project, did an outstanding job. So we want to thank all of you for your support for the project, and we look forward to the next Town of Clayton construction opportunity in the near future. Thank you.
All right. I'm Rich Capola, the town manager, but I do want to go ahead and let you know our engineering director, Joshua Baird, who couldn't be with us today because he had a conference, wanted to make sure that some comments were made, especially in thanking all the stakeholders that are here today. Really need to start with just emphasizing what you've heard today about the teamwork and collaboration that it really takes to make something like this happen. Really starts with our elected officials like Representative White, the mayor and council, from really having the support of the public safety that is really unmatched in any other community, in my opinion. From there, looking at the staff that brought it on, Joshua wanted me to specifically thank Tim and Shannon for all the hard work on this. Obviously, you guys put a lot of time into making sure that this was a successful project, and the overall community gets to basically benefit from the fruits of your labor, so we really appreciate that. As you heard from several of our design and construction partners, folks like HH Architecture, Brawley, Timmons Group, your expertise, your collaboration, your commitment to getting these projects done for communities like ours is really what makes these things, the successes that they are. So we really appreciate that. I also need to note, thank you to Timmons Group for providing the snacks and drinks for today. If you haven't had a chance, there's a table in the back. Again, just wanted to highlight, these projects, sometimes, they don't get the highlights and the real flashy lights all over them that the rest of the community likes to see. But really, this is what is the lifeblood of our community, the services that we provide. And the biggest group that I do need to thank is our fire department that, like many mentioned before, you guys had to put up with some construction and maybe some inconveniences here, but I hope that you understand that this is just part of that commitment that we as a community have to you all just as much as you're committed to us, and we appreciate you riding this ride with us for the last few months. So with that, I do want to just again thank all of you for coming out this evening. At this time, I'm going to ask all of our elected officials and stakeholders to come out the side door so we can do an official ribbon cutting. And then once that's complete, we can come back in, enjoy the refreshments, and take one of those station tours if you're interested. So again, thank you for being out here, and thank you for all of your hard work. Appreciate it.
Three, two, one, cut.
Awesome.